Hey everyone. We all have heard the phrase, you got to live your best life, right? And what that means different things to different people, but we all, I think, have that common goal of wanting more, wanting better for ourselves, wanting a better quality of life. And we struggle with it. Well, I'm with Will Wright today. He's a certified life coach and stress management expert, and he's the creator of the I Am Self-ish method and the I Am Self-ish podcast. He helps leaders and anyone else shift from stress and burnout to confidence and making better choices. Sign me up. He's had his own mental health challenges, which well positions him to offer empathy and personal and professional expertise. So I know Will from back in the day, and I mean back in the day when I actually belonged to a gym, and he was a personal trainer with a smiley electric presence, kind of like the mayor of the gym. So it's no surprise that you, Will, pivoted from one aspect of healing folks to another. Or maybe the question is, are they so different, right? We all know about the mind-body connection, good people. So I have been listening to his podcast, and I was really taken with one episode called Survival Mode Isn't Living. And I wanted Will to share his thoughts just on that, like what it means to be in survival mode, what living really means to you, Will. And it turns out, in conversation with him, that he's using his own podcast to work on his own vulnerability, something I think also we all could learn from and we all struggle with. So, Will, I'm turning it over to you to talk to me about survival mode and what was that for you and how did you start living? Just a little
Well, first of
question.
all,
Just a little
yeah.
question.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. You've been someone who's always been dear to me, close to me, friends with me. I do remember, your sarcasm and jokes that we'd share. I used to love running into you on the Upper East Side, which forgot your puppy's name though.
Well, that
Uh,
puppy was Gussie. The new puppy is Benny.
yeah, yeah, I remember. So yeah, it just feels like a full circle of the friendship and respect we've had for each other over the years. So yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast today. And so yeah, this when I did that piece on survival mode, I think you want to talk a little bit about that. It was kind of a part two actually to a newsletter I had put out actually before the podcast started. And the first part of that was survival mode is okay. And a lot of what I did with things like my newsletters, I was speaking to my own struggles with mental health and the journey that I've been on. And most of my work is inspired by that, even when I was just doing personal training. And the first piece when I wrote is about, survival mode is okay because it's better to be in survival than to just crumble and fall apart. And when I wrote the second piece, survival mode is it's just not living, it's just surviving. It was kind of a part two of saying like, okay, what happens when that mode is not serving you anymore? You get to the point where you want more, you push for more, you see more, there's more out there, but you're just stuck. Now, if you're good where you at and you're living, then don't let anybody tell you you need to do more, you need to do better, you need to push, right? But the survival mode is not living part of my podcast was me saying, if you want more, how do we get more? How do we move more? And so it was about identifying the things that might first identifying whether or not you're in survival mode. And second of all, once you have that newfound sense of self awareness, what options do you have to begin to move into a place that you want to be? Because if you're resenting where you're at, if you're frustrated where you're at, then let's talk about what the opportunities are.
Okay, so before we do talk about opportunity, can you share a little bit about what survival mode looked like for you? Because one of the things that stuck out from that episode was I think you were talking about not being your authentic self
Hmm.
and how draining that was
Hmm.
to always kind of be this guy. I guess maybe he was the guy I saw at the gym, this smiley, bubbly, enthusiastic, walking around, and everybody seemed to seek you out, or you had some level of rapport with everybody you met.
Hmm.
But it sounded like I was like in that moment, I was like, wow. So underneath all that, you were, to use your word, like crumbling.
Yeah. It's about for me, I had this really interesting relationship with validation. And so because I had this, I was dealing with depression, anxiety, body mass dysmorphia, and things like that. I walked around a lot of shame, right? A lot of shame. I didn't, as much as I worked in the gym, I didn't really even really like how I looked. And people would tell me all the time, "Oh, you have a great smile, you have a great this," and I'm like, "Well, if you like it, good." Because I don't even like looking in the mirror. I don't even like dealing with that. And I did have an episode called Ugly Duckling where I talked about my battle with body mass dysmorphia and image issues. And ironically enough, I never wanted to be a trainer, right? I had got certified as part of a ministry I actually started when I was deep into the church. And it was a whole mind, body, and spirit. And I was like, how can I, empower more people through my ministry? So I went and got certified as a trainer just as part of my ministry. And when the whole ministry thing didn't work, and I had quit working as a preschool teacher because I was actually working in preschool before I became a trainer, I needed a job. And my friend was like, our friend, I have a mutual friend. We had another friend who was managing the gym on 91st, 92nd, and and third. And he bring me in. He was like, if you need a job, you already certified. I can hire you. And I was like, well, I'll do this for now until I figure out my next step. Then I just got locked in because I was certified. So it's not like I didn't know what I was doing, but it was something I realized I was good at connecting with people. So I ran with it. But during that time, I was really struggling a lot with my purpose, who I was in the world. Because up until that point, I thought I was going to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world. And when that didn't work out the way I thought it was, training became my survival mode. That's where it first started. I'm going to just do this till I figure out what my purpose was. And then I was like, well, let me just live for this purpose, because that's when people started seeing me in ways that I didn't see myself. Oh, you're nice, you're this, you're that. So that validation is what fueled me. And so I lived for the validation. So I learned to become what I know people wanted me to be. And I learned how to make people feel better about themselves, even when there were times I'd wake up in the morning and be upset that I even woke up, just feeling like, ugh, I got to do this.
Uh,
But when I get to that gym and everybody's like, Will, hey, Will, and I'm walking through the neighborhood up east side, Will,
you're
it
right,
just
right,
fed me. It just fed me. So I said,
right.
hey, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you
Yeah. Well,
make
you know
it.
what's so funny is I envy you. I'm like, wow, that's a nice feeling. And now I have a little bit of that feeling myself, but I don't
Hmm.
need it to fuel me, which is nice. But of course it's validating. And so there's that little kid in all of us, I think, who, wants to be the popular guy or the popular woman, right? And so you were fed, your ego was fed,
It was
right?
fed.
But
Hmm.
then it sounds like you were on like kind of this mouse wheel where you had to continue to pedal to be the bubbly, nice guy, friendly, outgoing, in order to keep up that validation.
Hmm. I had to, it was like I'd have to keep going to recharge. And that's why it
Hmm.
was easy to work as much as I did. And I was blessed and lucky enough to have so many clients where I get to the gym at 4:30, 4 a.m., 4:30, and I'd be there at 7, 8 o'clock at night, just working all day, hanging out. And it just felt safe because in those environments, people loved me, they embraced me. And even if I couldn't see the person they were seeing, it still felt better to know that, hey, if you think I'm all these things, fine. But the voices in my head, they're telling me something different. They're telling me I'm too small. They're telling me I'm too big. Like I used in my head, I was a much smaller man for many, many years. And I'd walk past mirrors in the gym and be like, oh, wait, I'm not so small. I am, I'm built. Like I remember thinking one time I was standing next to somebody. And if you had told me this person was like 8 feet tall, I would have believed you. And then one day I'm standing next to him, I look in the mirror and I'm like, this guy's short. He's so little. Why in my head? Like, what is going on in my brain? So I would avoid mirrors. I avoid all that thing. So I didn't need to look at mirrors. I just looked through people or looked the way people looked at me. That became
Right.
my mirror. So when someone was like, hey, Will, hey, this, hey, that, I'd be like, sure, let's go with it.
But
You
in a
know?
good way, no, because at
Mm-hmm.
some point that starts to penetrate you. You start to
Mm-hmm.
internalize what the external voices are saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? I hope to balance out your own harsh
Well, yeah,
super
it was
ego
all
there.
about, like I said, that validation was like all I needed
Everything.
to
Yeah.
keep going because I knew if I could just get out the bed and show up, somebody would be there, and all day people were just telling me how funny I am, how great I am, how cool I am. So I made it my mission, and at the time I didn't even realize I was doing it. This is
Right,
more me being able to look back through my growth, my journey, and look back and say, wow, that
right.
version of me was just, it's almost like, well, it's not surprising, right? I come from ministry, and ministry is all about serving and giving. And so this is easy. Let me serve. How can I help you? How can I help you reach your goal? How can I make you feel good about yourself? And in return, people were like, thank you. You have purpose. You have value. And I'm like, I need it. Give me that validation. Give it to me. Give it to
And
me.
when you left
So,
that environment, did you crash?
well, when you say left the environment, like when I went home and stuff like that,
Well, right. There's two pieces of that, right? When you
yeah,
went home at the end of the day and when you left permanently. But I assume that when you left permanently, and you'll tell me that that was the beginning of something big.
yeah. So two parts. I very rarely stayed home alone ever. You could do whatever you want with that information, right? I just never, I was never alone. I couldn't because silence was so loud. So a lot of people go home and think, oh, when you go home, you can relax and recharge. I would get upset if I'm like, no, I can't go home because when I got in the house, everything just got intensified, all the noise, because there was no distraction. There wasn't a client to talk to. There wasn't a client to be like, what can I do for you? Oh,
Right.
okay, you feel good? I feel good. When I'm at home, it's not so much you can get from watching Game of Thrones. I mean, it was great, but you know what I mean? It was just
You
constantly
had to be
needing to
with
be,
yourself.
it
You
was
had to.
hard to be with myself for so
Hmm.
long,
Hmm.
so long. And so, yeah, that's why I was working 7 days a week as much as I could.
Hmm.
And then, then I became a dad, and that was a whole nother level, but that's a whole nother conversation. But that also served as a good distraction. Um, so then, yeah, I started having weekends with my daughter, and then my son came. So that was a great distraction from the noise because then that became another layer of purpose, right? So let me serve my clients, let me serve my kids, but I wasn't really serving myself. Didn't know that at the time, but that's part of my evolution to realize what I wasn't giving to myself.
Well, that's why I love your brand, right? I am self, and let me just spell it out for folks, SELF, and then there's a dash, ISH, right? Selfish. And we are all conditioned to think being selfish is so bad, right? It's a terrible thing.
Mhm,
But I like the reframing of, I think in a very positive way. Damn
yeah.
right, I'm selfish. I am taking care of me.
Mhm,
And self, right? The focus is on self. It's all about how you read it, right? The
It
focus is
is.
on the self and not, and that doesn't mean that's not parallel to selfish. So tell me about this brand and tell me
Okay.
about,
So I'll tell you about the brand. And so when I say I am self-ish, what I'm saying is it's a daily reminder to prioritize yourself, to give yourself permission to put yourself first. Seek out what do you need to take back your time, your energy, to set boundaries, right? Boundaries are meant to bring people actually closer together, not push them apart. So the ish is what you make it. Self-care, self-rejuvenation, whatever it is, self-reflection. Be self-ish. Understanding it's reminding yourself every day, what do I need in this moment? What's important to me? How can I put myself first? What would it take for me to understand that I can become the best version of myself? And in fact, be able to then give to all these things you believe you're obligated to. It's almost like the living embodiment of you got to put your mask on first or your oxygen on first when the plane's going down, right? What does it mean to remember that you don't have to be fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth on your priority? That it doesn't matter. As a mom, put yourself first. As a dad, put yourself first. As in all things, don't forget that you're the most important factor in all of this. And it's about your truth. It's not about my idea. It's not about my expectations. It's about your truth. Because what I always say, the truth always wins, not these stories we tell ourselves. If you're in a position that you want to be and it feels aligned and it brings you joy and it brings you wisdom and it brings you fulfillment, then you are where you want to be. But if you're constantly feeling like, ugh, the guilt, the resentment, the anger, the frustration, well, what would it look like to give yourself permission to flip some of that, lean into some of that? Where's that resentment coming from? But to do that, you have to prioritize yourself. Or you just go in that survival mode and say, I'll just deal with the resentment. I can handle it. I can just deal. It's a part of life, right? Stress, resentment, all that. We all have it. Okay. Well, how's it serving you? What is the advantage of disadvantage of that mindset? and how you're approaching things. If it's working, work it. But is it a default because you don't know any better and you don't see a way out? Or is by choice? Because choice is the most powerful weapon we have.
So you might talk me out of a job, but I'm just curious because I mean that's kind of what I do, right? As a psychotherapist, is help people like improve the quality of their lives, and doing that means getting to the core of your emotions and what you're experiencing and why, these things are so intense for you and how to let go of them, right? Exactly what you said, just maybe in a different framework. So how do you do it?
Well, first, it was through my personal journey. Like I said, I did probably, once I found therapy, 10 years, I did straight 2 days a week cognitive behavior therapy. So it was all about understanding my patterns, how I show up, and the effects of those. And I remember he is now since retired, but I remember who I was working with at the time. And I'm very okay with sharing some of my story. So I remember in our first few sessions, I was complaining about my kids' mothers. I was just like, why did I choose them? Things aren't working. It was just part of, you know, just a time in my life where maybe I wasn't making the best choices. And I appreciated how he probably for the first 5 or 6 sessions just let me go. Rah, 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 blah, baby, baby mama this, baby mama that, just complaining, being mad. And he said, okay, so I'll let you get it out your system. But I'd like to shift it if we can. And I'm just like, well, do you want me to like forgive them and say sorry to them? I'm like, where are we going with this? Because being angry feels good right now. He said, how about we try to not complain about them and start figuring out why you chose them in the first place? That is probably the biggest at the time shift that my life ever took. Because I was like, hmm. Now, again, I didn't know at the time it's about accountability and self awareness. At the time, I was like,
You blaming me? You
I'm
blaming
like,
me?
wait, I'm responsible for some of this? Like, what are you
Right,
talking about? Like,
right.
you know how the birds and the bees work? Like, what do you mean? Why did I choose them? I didn't know what I was doing. And I just appreciated where that form of cognitive behavior therapy, I just embraced it because it really helped me understand my patterns. And it also helped me connect with my clients more at the time because I would start seeing some of those patterns in them. I started seeing things. And so I started bringing some of these tools I was learning from my own personal journey into my personal training. And I remember I started using languages like, I can get you strong enough to get in shape, but this is the lifestyle you have to create. I remember telling somebody, I'm like, look, if you've been trying to lose 10 pounds for 10 years and you ain't lose 10 ounces, it's not the carbohydrates. Let's talk about the choices that you're making.
Right,
I
right.
remember I started saying, like, why don't you just eat the pizza and be happy? No one cares because I've never met a skinny woman. I've never met a skinny person in the gym. Everybody in the gym thinks they're fat. Like, no matter you lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, everybody has something they're struggling with. And they try to use this idea of if I lose 10 pounds, because let me take it back for a second. Because I remember somebody's like, I just need to lose 10 pounds. And I remember saying to a client, what do you believe your life is going to be like on the other side of 10 pounds? So these are just things I was naturally doing because I understood how this language is helping me in my journey through my therapy.
Mhm.
And so fast forward a little bit, people had started saying, you should be a life coach. You should be a life coach. And I'm like, what the hell is a life coach? Because every life coach I know is some condescending, abrasive, know it all that just wants to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing, giving you some wild advice and just pandering, or they were just pandering. You're a beast. You're amazing. Oh, you're complaining? Of course, men suck. No accountability or responsibility of why you keep choosing certain men or women suck. And
Right.
that whole idea of I got to pander to you, I'm like, I can motivate you, I can support you, but I do want to pander to you. Fast forward some more. COVID hits. We all go into our quarantine. Now, my business did not suffer a single step during COVID. I was doing the right thing at the right time. I had already had the virtual platform set up. So I was like, I couldn't understand why other trainers and people weren't doing well. Right. My business actually increased. It was crazy. And so while in quarantine, business is great. All of a sudden, the world wasn't so loud. It got quiet. And when it quieted down, I started thinking about, because I did start resenting fitness, right? I started resenting fitness, didn't want to do it anymore, because at some point I was just absorbing everybody's stuff all day. It just felt overwhelming. I was
Right.
getting a lot of, you know, I would say, what they call it? Compassion fatigue. So much
Right.
compassion fatigue. And then I just was so tied to the outcome of people that I would be exhausted where, I realized people don't want to squat. They don't want to lose weight. They just want to talk to me all day. And it just started getting exhausting for me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did. Quarantine gave me that separation. It was something about being on screen that just disconnected me from my people in a sense. And the world got quieter and things didn't feel so intense. And then I just started remembering all these magical and wonderful ideas I had. Now, I Am Selfish originally was going to be called Never Wanted Abs. And it was going to
Never
be
what?
about
Never what?
never wanted abs. And it was going to be about me never wanting to be a trainer, but I needed a job. And rumor has it I was really good at it. So I'm like, okay, if you're happy, I'm happy. And I knew I was educated. I knew it was good because I did all the things. And so while in quarantine, a friend of mine who had already been certified and been a coach from IPEC, um, she had said, why don't you just take one of their weekend workshops and really start to understand what life coaching could be? And I was like, sure. So I went and did the weekend workshop and I was like, wait, what? This feels like cognitive behavior therapy. I didn't know that coaching could be so effective on this level. And so, me deciding to sign up and do this program, I was able to finish it in 9 months. Most people do it in a year or so, but I was able to finish it in 9 months, mostly because I was good at it. And second, because I had so much control over my schedule, I could get the work done. And I'm sure you remember when you were going through your licensing, which was probably a lot more layers and years of training that you went through for your license. You remember getting those clinical hours and finding hours to do the work, do the session. So I was able to get it in and submit it and never had to resubmit. First try, boom, banged it out. So I was able to finish in 9 months. And I really appreciated becoming a certified trainer, life coach, because what the program helped me realize is three main things. All the things I was doing absolutely right in terms of how I was holding space and supporting my clients. It also showed me all the missed opportunities. And I'm only speaking to the program I went to. I don't know about other coaching programs. I'm only speaking to what I got. All the things I was doing right. And then it told me all the things I was doing wrong. Like I was in the box. I was too tied to the outcomes. It was like if they failed, I felt like a failure. If they succeeded, I felt like success. If they didn't succeed in the way I wanted to, because I remember I used to get mad, right? I'd work so hard on somebody's, imbalance. Like their glutes weren't firing, they had lower back pain, and I'd worked so hard to get them to believe in the process, do all this corrective stuff that's not pretty, that's not sexy, the foam rolling, the stretching, the corrective exercise. They go take one fitness class and be like, oh my God, I was squatting in that class and my glutes really fired up. That's a great class. And I'd be like, mother, I got those glutes fired up. Give me the credit. Why? And then, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, then they go into the instructor. Your class is great. My ass has never felt so good. I was like, I taught you how to squat because I felt like I stopped. I wasn't getting the validation the way I needed it. I was like,
Right.
you're giving my work away.
Right.
What do you mean? I'm the reason why your glutes are fired. It was that stuff that I was so tied to that it would really upset me. I'd get so mad. So quarantine was a great, great, great time for me. The world was quiet. I wasn't feeling so insecure about my body because I was just, living in a screen. It was great. Business was good. I was able to reconnect with people that I hadn't seen. Clients came back because, we can work virtual. So I had on my West Coast clients, people in Connecticut, Jersey. I even did sessions with people in London and India. I was like, this world was great. And I went from the desk to the couch and I was all good. And then I was like, wait a minute. I spent all this time and money to get this coaching certification. I think I should be using it. And here's where things started getting crazier for me again. Because now I'm like, am I going to walk away from a very successful fitness business and try to prove another proof of concept? I said, you know what? I don't have to do it. Let me just ease into it. And here's how I eased into it if I can continue the story. Keep going.
Of course.
Okay, so here's how I thought I would ease into it. The first attempt is I went back to young Will, little Will, and remembered all the struggles I had growing up in a society and community that didn't embrace mental health. right? I grew up in a situation where it was let go, let God. Just pray about it. Therapies for rich, white, crazy women. That's the kind of words and stuff I grew up. We don't do that. What do you pray about it? God is good, the devil's a liar. So I embraced that. And then I embraced all the resentment and anger that came with it because I wasn't getting the answers. So when I first started all this coaching, I thought I was going to be a savior. Again, I kind of created a savior complex. I can take my validation and stuff to a whole nother level, right? So I kind of went back into those old communities that I was a part of and was like, hey, I was kind of looking for that version of me that felt like
Hmm.
there was no choice. For Christ you
Hmm.
live, for Christ you die. We don't, and I was like, let's fight the stigmas. Boy, I was not embraced. I was
Hmm.
not embraced. I thought that I would be able to go back and find the versions of me that was like, I need answers that I'm not getting. And no matter how much I pray, go to church, read my Bible. And I bring these tools to the church and they'd be like, I was rejected. The BIPOC community was like, dude, we don't want any of this. Get out of here. So I was like, yo, I started getting some imposter syndrome. Like, why did here I am, this phenom. I crushed that coaching program. I was like, this is amazing. I understood the curriculum. I got it. It was so natural for me. But then when I tried to bring it back to my people, they was like, we don't want this shit. What is all this feelings? What is all these energy levels? What is all this any of this? It's like we just pray. And I started building up some of that resentment again, real anger. But I was like, you know what? Did matter. Got on a mental health app, Spring Health, and that's where it showed me the work I could do. And so once I started consistently coaching people through this app, then I was like, okay, I do know what I'm talking about. I do have these skills. And
You found the right audience.
I found the right audience.
Yeah.
And through that, I started building my voice. Then I had another hiccup. And we're going to get to selfish in a second. Then I had
We
another
get to
hiccup.
what? Selfish. Okay, we're
Then
getting
this,
there.
then I had
Okay.
another hiccup.
What's the hiccup?
Quarantine was over. And all of a sudden, all the noise came back.
Uh-huh.
All the insecurities came back.
Uh-huh.
It was devastating to me
Oh,
because here I was thinking I had finally overcome all my dark passengers, all my
right.
gremlin messages, all the stuff. And it was through the coaching program that I learned about what gremlin messages are. And I was like, yeah, I got a lot of them swirling around in my brain. All the noise came back, all the insecurities, all the, everything. I was like, oh my God, I gained weight. And people wanted me to fail. They couldn't understand how I was so successful as a virtual trainer. Why I didn't have to take business was amazing. So it was all of that. Like I the safety and all that was gone. And I was like, wow, it was it came back louder than it ever
Yeah,
had
you
been
came back to
before.
a different world that you
It
left.
came back to a
Yeah.
world that I thought that I had finally overcome. And the truth
Yeah.
was, nah, you didn't. And it took me 2 years to really pull myself out of that. The depression was deeper, the anxiety was bad, the shame was there, the guilt. I was crumbling. And then I was like, you know what? How do you create that safety? And I thought about all the things that I have been suppressing, all the ideas, all the just all the things I've always wanted to do. And then I remembered never wanted abs. And I was like, I want to be selfish. I want to start putting myself first because I thought I was good. But even through quarantine, I was still catering to all my clients. So I said, what do it mean to put myself first? And that's when I said, I'm going to be selfish. I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna prioritize my life. I'm gonna prioritize my time. I'm gonna create the boundaries. I'm gonna lean into all these insecurities. I need to create that level of safety that quarantine gave me. There's an episode on my podcast I call The Hideout. I don't know if you listened to that one, where I talk about time in quarantine. But when I left my hideout, I wanted to go back in. Put me in, close the door. I didn't know the world anymore. I didn't want to be in the world anymore. It was so safe being in my house away from people. Like I didn't want it. But I had to almost reinsert who I was and who I want to be in the world. And then I decided I don't want to be that old version of myself. That version that just needed the validation. They needed people to tell me I'm cute because I don't think I'm cute. I don't want to be the version of people that's going to say, smile, you have this great smile. And I'm like, I keep my teeth white for you. Like all these expectations and things that I would do for people to embrace me. I didn't want to be that version of me, but that meant I had to peel back some more layers, right? And that last layer was realizing that in spite of my children, put yourself first. In spite of expectations, put yourself first. What is making you feel this way?
Mm.
And so I started using the tools that I learned in my coaching program for myself.
Well, maybe that should be the title, or is that what you do for people? Would you say how to put yourself first?
Yeah, that's what I do. When people say, what is I am selfish? It's your daily reminder on how to put yourself first, to prioritize yourself. And that's that's why I created the selfish method. Because through the program I learned I got certified in a assessment tool called the ELI, the Energy Leadership Index Assessment. And right now it sits as number 3 on the Forbes must do list for anybody in a leadership or executive position. And I'm like, why is everything always for these big executives?
Right.
Why is it? And I'm like, yes, they're recognizing that these are the individuals who should be taking it. But I'm like, we all should learn how to manage our stress, see what our, how we show up, what's our process, what's the
Right.
advantages and disadvantages. So I thought to bring this tool to everybody. Why should I only market and shop at this to some
Amen.
VP or some C-suite person? I'm like, as a
Amen.
dad, I want to understand how I'm showing up so I can be a better version of a dad, as
Right.
a friend, as a
Right.
whatever. And
Right.
so,
So talk about walking the walk, not just talking the talk, right? We were
yeah,
talking a little bit pre-recording about using your podcast to work on your own vulnerability.
yeah,
And, I mean, I certainly believe we're all works in progress. We never stop growing and developing and working on ourselves if we want to and choose to. I mean, you
hmm
mentioned, you use the word choice, which is so powerful and so true. I don't know if people really think about how much we choose either consciously or unconsciously, right? And
hmm
repeat familiar patterns like this need for validation. Why is there such this need for validation? What went on earlier in little Will, as you said, your young Will,
hmm
that he needed to search for that and to keep pedaling so hard to maintain that. Well, okay, so here you are, you've done all this work on yourself. There's still, some potholes. You still have pockets of vulnerability, if not,
hmm
what's a more severe word than pockets? Like, yeah, like
layers.
not okay, we'll use your layers. I think again of potholes, we all
Yeah,
do, right?
yeah.
So what are you still working on? And what's your podcast helping you with?
So when I eventually, when I finally decided to press record, it was overwhelming for me. Right. I I believe in my first episode with my first guest, all I talked about was how nervous I was, and I appreciated Virginia. She was like, "Why are you nervous?" And I was like, "Because this is scary. This level of vulnerability, it's almost like I can't explain it. I can tell you how it feels, but I can't explain it. And how it feels is like there's needles being pressed in every part of my body. It just hurts. I shut down. I turn off. I second guess myself. Sometimes it gets so bad that if you told me, Will, you and I both see the cup, but my mind would tell me there's not a cup there. There's no, like, I would go into these like virtual realities or I can't even explain it. All I can tell you is my mind would just be so detached from reality that nothing felt real. And in those moments, if nothing felt real, it made me question the authenticity of whatever was going to come out of my mouth. Because I would say things like, welcome back to, did I say that right? Did I slur my words? Does it make sense? When am I supposed to ask a question? So all these crazy things would be going on in my head because again, it was so loud. It was like, shut up. No one wants to hear what you say. No one cares. You sound stupid. Be quiet. And I'll be like, stop the noise. Shut up. I gotta focus. I gotta ask the question. So I just started ignoring those voices and just kept going and be honest. And if I sound stupid, I sound stupid. If I sound silly, I sound silly. But I
But what
said,
gave you the ability to do that? What gave,
pressing, just pushing through, just going,
pushing through? So there's something in
starting
us. I
to
often,
starting to apply the things
yes.
that I was saying to my own clients to myself. If you tell yourself no, you already know the answer. So you just got to put yourself out there and not be afraid of rejection and try it on for size and realize rejection is not that bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's new venture, old voices, right? You're
Yeah.
starting something new and the old insecurities start coming up. It just makes sense, right? And I think
Hmm.
that happens to all of us. And we often say, oh, well, the more you do something, the easier it gets. But that more you do something, you have to keep confronting it over and over and over. It's not like after two or three times. It's
Hmm.
like after 30, 40 times or
Oh,
however,
yeah.
you can't even give it a number, right? That you're going to feel those things, but you push through. Now, my question to you is, what do you think gives some people the ability to push through and right grab that new opportunity and use it as a stepping stone to knowing that there's something better ahead, a better, even if it's just a feeling, right? A good feeling about yourself, and other people who just can't get themselves there to take that risk.
Well, let me be clear because I think this might have been something I said a little bit on while we were recording, but before we started recording, I didn't. My first level of confidence didn't start with the podcast. Me dealing with my level of vulnerability like that didn't start there. It's creating a progression of safety. Even if I sat in one level first, I said to myself, what would be the safest version of where I want to be that makes sense now? For me, it was just getting up in the morning and just writing. I call it brain throw up. I know I want to say a lot of stuff, but I'm afraid to say it out loud to people for fear of being judged and told I sound stupid. So you guess what? I just started talking to myself. So that was the first level as I just woke up every day and whatever idea I had, anything, just write it. Brain throw. Don't, it doesn't have to make any sense. So I would just get up every day, whether I talked into my phone, typed it out, wrote it out. That felt good to just have those conversations, get it out of my head. Again, that was a tool. That was safe.
But then
Then,
it's, oh, go ahead.
then the next thing, okay, so that didn't feel so bad because in my mind, it was out in the world. It was on paper. I got it out of my head. I was able to look at it. I was able to do stuff with it. It just felt good it was like my version of journaling, getting it out, releasing, because we have so much emotional capacity, right? If I'm holding it all in and I'm tense and my stress is up, I didn't realize how much release of that stress and calmness you can get by just get it out. Just get it out of your head. And it doesn't even have to make sense. That's tools that I learned that I would bring to my client. It doesn't even have to make sense.
Right.
It could be I went to the store, at the store, I tripped, then I hit my head. Oh, I saw a dinosaur. It doesn't even have to make sense. Just get it out of your head. Find a way to find a release.
Okay, cool. But I would say this, it's an interesting cycle because you do that, you take the risk, and then you do end up getting the validation because you have a listenership, right? And it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. And then it's very easy, by the way, to get obsessed with numbers. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea is, right, the ultimate goal, and I think I've reached it because I mean, I have a lot of these insecurities too. And when I started the podcast, I was terrified too. Who cares what, Dr. Myers has to say? What would Dr. Myers do? Who really
Mm-hmm.
cares? Or you're exposing yourself, and are people going to think like, why is she a therapist? Or whatever. All these terrible
Mm-hmm.
thoughts go through your head. And yes, the validation comes from the listenership. And here I am almost hitting my third year, and wow, must be successful. But you know what? I think deep down, I don't need it anymore because I feel it. I really
Mm-hmm.
feel it. And now I feel I have something to offer. And those who agree with me will listen, and those who don't won't. And life goes on,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's something to this risk taking
Yeah.
and vulnerability.
But sometimes we have what I like to call all in energy, and that can be detrimental. And how I explain and describe all in energy through my lenses is think about, let's say you need to lose 100 pounds, right? And however you get to the process, we can skip to that. But the plan is just start 20 minutes on the treadmill, right? Let's just create a level of consistency. It's another thing is like you thinking about the 100 pounds and you thinking about going hard or going home. What is just going to get you to the gym?
Well, I
Forget
think that
about the
that's an
100
important
pounds.
point about like what's the rush too,
What's the
right?
rush?
People want to feel better
Mm-hmm.
quickly. And it makes me think about, in my role as a psychotherapist, I was trained psychodynamically, and I don't know how familiar you are with that, but basically it's a
Mm-hmm.
long process, right? Whereas CBT, it's a little quicker, give you some tools, work on yourself, and you
Mm-hmm.
feel like, you're seeing some change along the way. So, and this is where I was like, what the hell was I saying? As we discussed earlier.
But no,
I was mid-sentence.
it's
Wait,
like how do
wait.
you get to those level of safety where you move and move forward, right? And so I was talking about all in energy, and
Right, I
100
was
pounds
talking
is the
about,
goal.
sorry. Yes, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
talking about, thank you so much. I was
Uh-huh.
talking about being results oriented and
Hmm.
like finding the bite-sized changes on the way there, that this
I like that
people want to
bite-sized
get
changes. I
there.
might use that.
All right, you can take it. But people want to just get rid of the bad feeling, and whatever that is, they'll go there, right? So if I just can lose this, X number of weight by this date, I'm going to feel all better. And we just
Hmm.
don't work like that as human beings, It took us X number of years to develop into who we are. It's going to take some time to shift things, and I like that framework shifting, which I'm moving towards more and more, right?
Hmm.
Than changing. You're shifting, and good things happen with shifts. I got one question for you, Will. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Say it with confidence.
And I can say that with all the true convictions because now this wasn't easy. None of this was easy. It was a very lonely road. There's a lot of things that I had to accept about my life, the people in it, the people who trigger me. Because part of that journey of finding safety is realizing that if you don't lean in and heal the things that need to be healed, then you find yourself doing one or two things. You're either going to become that thing that you so feel like you so afraid you'll become that thing, or you'll overcorrect so much that you won't even know who you are at all.
Mm,
And so I was running so fast and hard from all those voices, all those demons, to just somebody make me feel good. You make me feel good, you're my friend. So let me do whatever I can for you that you're going to keep seeing me, hearing me, validating me, which led to bad relationships, bad friendships, and also bad breakups with clients. Like, what do you mean you're not buying any more sessions? I need you, please. I need you. Right. And
yeah.
so sometimes that all in energy is so tied to the outcome, you miss all the opportunities on the journey. Then, maybe day one, you get on that treadmill and say, okay, I'm going to walk 20 minutes on the treadmill because that felt safe. That felt doable. But then by the second day with all in energy, you start to think 20 minutes? What, how many calories am I going to burn in 20 minutes? So by day three, you're trying to run for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. On day four, your back hurts, your knee hurts. And then you're not thinking about 100 pounds. You're shaming yourself for having to lose 100 pounds in the first place. What's wrong with me? I couldn't even run for 20 minutes. But you,
Oh my God, that's such a good point about setting us up for failure, right? With
mhm.
with with unrealistic goals. Yeah, I mean, so important. Again, goes to bite-sized successes, right?
It's
Like,
like people say, I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to do 100 push ups.
yeah,
Have you even done 100 push ups in a week? But now you're going to
right,
do it in a day.
right.
Sometimes our goals are just so unrealistic and
Yes,
we get tied to the end result and we don't see the opportunity in the process. Or both, we don't even trust the process. We just need that instant gratification, that validation, that purpose, only to then crush it to get there and be like, I still feel like shit.
yes.
Because
Well, it's
there's a
so
difference
interesting.
between
Go ahead.
freedom and escaping, right? I teach that too. What's the difference between freedom and escaping? Well, freedom is the ultimate power to choose and know that you have choices. Escaping is just what it is. You keep running from the truth, running from the truth, running from the truth. And the truth is, your happiness is not on the other side of the 100 pounds, no matter how much you want to tell yourself. Your happiness is dealing with your relationship with your mother. Ooh, did we say that out loud? Your happiness is realizing that person, this partner, this relationship you have, that I have to stay there for the children. Because you're gonna lose 100 pounds, it's still gonna resent your life. What is your truth? Let's unpack that because you're carrying so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the truth. I think so. This is what I take. First of all, live your best life, right? And
Hmm.
understand that we all struggle and that your best life might not come tomorrow,
Hmm.
right? That's what we're saying, right? Peel away at the shame and understand what the hell that is all about, right? Because we
Hmm.
we all tend to carry aspects of shame. And then I want to add another thing, this idea of fear of success, because fear of success reflects shifting again. Like, what
Hmm.
would, as you said earlier, what would life look like? Or is that what you said? What would life look like if
What do you
things were
believe life will
different?
look like on the other side of these 10,
Right,
20,
on the
100
other
pounds?
side. That's exactly right, right? And you want that. You want that. You think you want that, but it's terrifying because that means opportunity, new experiences, the unknown, right? So I'm going to sum it up with one quote that has resonated with me lately, and I swear I'm going to get a little, wooden plaque or something and put it in my office. It says, "What if I fall?" And then it says, "Oh, my darling, what if you fly?"
Hmm.
Right? Which kind of sums up that whole idea of I'm so scared of failing. I'm so scared of failing. Really? But what happens if you fly? That
Hmm.
might mean like changing relationships. It might mean being out of your comfort zone because
Hmm.
familiarity is really comfortable even when it brings discomfort.
Hmm.
So we have to work ourselves out. I love that you transitioned, but didn't transition from working on the body to the mind, and it's clearly all connected. I love
Hmm.
that you're going deep, you're getting under there, layers, as you said, layers. Um, Dan, man, I'm glad that you finally put yourself first, and I'm glad to hear that you're helping others do that as well. I might have to now go from boxing with you to life coaching with you.
Hmm.
Where can people find you, Will?
So you can find me at, well, you can email me, will at I am selfish, put that dash in there.com, or you can go to my website, iamselfish.com. And I'll also be found on my Instagram, will.selfish.
You got another follower in me. I'm sure.
Actually, excuse me, I said that wrong. I changed it.
You changed.
Selfish.will is my IG.
Okay.
Selfish.will is my
Okay,
IG.
but this
Yeah.
will all be in the description. People
Yeah,
can get it if
definitely.
you didn't rewind the tape. Okay, Will, thanks so much. So great to be in conversation with you.
This felt so amazing. We have
Oh,
to do this again off recording. I
oh,
really enjoy. It's really good to just see you and talk to you, be in your presence. So thank you for having me on. This has been great. It
big
really
back
has.
at you. Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna have to have you on mine now.
Yes, you
So
are.
like we
Right.
can definitely. I'm gonna email you some options. Let's get it in because I'd love to talk send to you and talk more about your journey because little did you know you have been somebody who's been an inspiration to me because of
Little
just
did I know.
how you've always validated me, even if you didn't know it. So thank you.
Will, that was so awesome. That was so awesome.
Yeah.
So fun. So fun talking to you,
Yeah.
really. Definitely let's do it again on your podcast, off podcasts in general. Where are you located these days?
I work out of my apartment in the Bronx. Once I went virtual,
That's
I
it.
I never went back. I was like, I don't need to go in the gym, run space. So yeah, been in this space for a while, and this is where I work out of in the Bronx. So
All
yeah.
right. All right. So do you leave your home? Do you spend more time with yourself?
Oh, I've definitely found that balance again. The world is not so scary anymore.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
sorry, but you have that damn charming smile and but you don't have to flash it as only as often as you want
uh,
to.
I believe in it now. I like it now. And I'm like, oh,
Uh,
that's what y'all were talking about. Yeah.
oh my God, that is so beautiful. That
Yeah.
is awesome.
And my children have been such a rock for me as well. So yeah.
How old are they now?
Well, my daughter is going to be 18 on the 26th of October, and
Oh my
she's
God.
now at Temple University. And
Awesome.
my son turns 14 in November, and he goes to the Clinton School in Union Square, the public school in Union Square.
That is crazy. I
Oh,
remember that
tell me
little
about it.
girl. That's Soleil, right?
That's right.
That,
Yeah.
and what's his name?
His name is Dylan. So
Oh my
Soleil
God.
and Dylan.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, she called me yesterday. She was like, college is not easy. I was like, good luck. You got it. Good luck. You got it. You can do it. She's like,
Uh,
wow, it's so much. So
uh,
yeah,
that's
she's
awesome.
doing
Oh,
well. She's
I'm
studying
so
sports
glad.
management.
Oh yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Nice.
She was gonna
She,
do architecture. She was like, yeah, it's too much math.
is this her first year?
Yeah, she's a
Oh,
freshman.
she just started. I mean,
Oh,
she
she just started.
just,
Oh, she hasn't even been there a
wow.
month yet.
A
And
whole
she's
new
already changed her major. She
world.
went there to study architecture and was
Mm,
like, nah, it's too much math and drawing. I'm switching to sports management.
no, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Wow. That she knows already too.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna wait for you to reach out to me.
I'm gonna
Okay?
holler at you.
Okay. All right, Will. So awesome. That was awesome. Loved it. I'll let you know when it comes out.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
And
So
not a single edit, I don't think. Yes.
cool. And I
Even me
really like
botching
your
up.
hair. I really like the way you're
Hey,
wearing your
this
hair.
is always the way it's been. I just,
Yeah,
not at the gym.
I like it. I don't think I see it out a lot as
Thank
much
you.
because I
Thank
think you
you.
always like have it up and stuff.
I know.
Because I always see you like either at the gym or walking the dog. It's very rare. I think one time I saw you out on a date and your hair was out, but
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't want
well.
to stare too long. I don't make someone jealous.
You little charmer, you.
I'd be like, yeah, I'll let you have that moment.
Oh,
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for this.
awesome.
And I will be in touch. This was
Okay.
fun, and I can't wait to have you on my pod. And
All
just
right.
hang out. I feel like we just need to meet up.
Let's go.
I'll
Okay.
reach out. I'm ready.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. Love you
All right.
much. I'll talk
Talk
to you
to
soon.
you.
All right. Bye.